Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Hello and welcome to what is the final episode of Season 12, The Best Bits of Us.
Yeah, we have gone back over all our episodes from this season and we've picked out some of our favourite moments and highlights that we're now going to share with you lot.
So sit back and prepare to enjoy some entertaining discussions,
Heated debates,
fascinating facts,
and even the odd moment that shocked us. We are finally back doing Drewling Samantics and...
Hey!
What the fuck is that?
I presume you're referring to the face furniture, the facial hair, and not the Drewling Samantics mug. I mean,
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Drewling Samantics fans and followers, anyone joining us right now, if you are not watching on YouTube, there has never been more of a moment where I implore you to do so. Because, number one, I don't want to be alone in looking at this. Because I'm a little bit scared, in all honesty. Drew has a forest growing from the bottom of his nostrils. Right, okay, so I'm guessing, mate, this is post Father Christmas beard, trimmed down, and your razor ran out of batteries.
yeah. No, I mean, it is post Santa. I've lost the beard, which got very bushy, and the moustache has been trimmed. It's also had a little bit of colour put in it, because I've got throughout January 3 or 4 Manuel gigs, 40 Towers gigs, and I thought rather than slap on a fake moustache for a couple of weeks, I'll work with a real one. So how about that then? Hey, look at that.
Yeah, how about that indeed?
Yeah. It won't be for long.
To be honest with you. Trying to resume a podcast that has been off the air for bloody ages because we've both been very busy. We can tell quite clearly what you've been busy doing. Some gangrene of the top lip, it would appear.
Yeah, it won't be for long, mate, because otherwise my darling wife will probably leave me.
I would not blame her.
One of my favourite plays recently was James Graham's Dear England, about the England football team and Gareth Southgate. And it was, James Graham is probably one of the best writers in the country at the moment, with James, and along with Richard Bean, turning out some amazing work. I mean, I think at one point James Graham had 3 plays on in the West End at the same time. He could choose it. Brilliant,
justifiably so, of course.
Yeah, I mean, there's amazing. I mean, and it's an amazing piece of writing. But that was written. It was given to the National Theatre. Again, they have the resources. They have the clout to go. Okay, we'll put this on. If you put a new play at the National Theatre, you kind of know you're going to get an audience, even though James Graham isn't widely known to an awful lot of people, maybe to a lot of theatre going public. But if I was a punter sitting there going, what am I going to go and see tonight? It wouldn't be the author's name that would drag me in. In James's case, it would now because he's big, but it would be like, oh, it's a play about football. Now if you're sitting there as a football fan, you go, I might go and see that, or just the subject matter itself, you go, I think that's great.
I think that's an interesting one in this particular example. Now, people we're going to get complaints, but I was going to be very, very, what's the word? Not narrow-minded, but sort of. I was going to stereotype a little bit and say, usually, and this is very much like out there because I'm an example of the opposite, as are you. Usually, theatre and football aren't interlocking. They're not two interests that I would say a lot of people have at the same time. It's certainly not unheard of, and people they'll be outraw now and will have no. I like football and theatre. Not saying it can't happen, But I would say, as a rule, you wouldn't regularly find someone in the terraces of Old Trafford or the Etihad or wherever, Anfield, equally going to the West End or to massive theatres each week as well. Those two don't tend to cross over. I'm not saying you can't like both, of course you can, but that's where I find Dear England interesting because, as you say, it wouldn't necessarily have sold on the playwright's name, although there would be some allocation to that. There'd also be some that it's just the National Theatre, so people will go anyway because the National Theatre is so successful and so impressive. But I wonder if it brought in new people because of the subject matter, but equally slightly put off traditional theatre goers because of the subject matter. I think it'd be interesting to know, like, the demographic of people that went to Dear England. And it was a fabulous piece of theatre.
Yeah.
I'm a self-confessed lover of both football and theatre, and I thought it was brilliantly done. But I do wonder, as a piece of that you could consider new writing, although we're saying perhaps it's not quite in the same vein as some other things, but it's a subject matter that probably has been done very rarely in theatre. So it's
I mean,
that way. Like,
I don't. I mean, I can't think of another. I can think of a Up and Under, the rugby piece, done at Whole Truck many years ago. I did Red Lion, which is not a new piece of writing, but that's a football piece, and we did that in football clubs. Mate and mine, we were fresh out of drama school. We had a little bit of work, and we're kicking about over summer, and we come up with the idea of this two-man show, and we had no money whatsoever, nothing. We were, I got a friend of mine to make 2 shirts. We bought some trousers from Oxfam and turn them into breeches. We had no money. My dad, my bless his heart, he went in the garage and made us props. He made us crowns and bits and pieces, and he knocked these up in the garage. They look bloody brilliant. Still got the crown. That's in the loft.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, still got the crown that we used for the show. But we are going back to mid 1980s, late 1980s. We were doing this. Yeah,
I was just about born.
There you go. And we were on the streets. We took it everywhere. We took it to. We did shows at the Polish Centre in Hammersmith. We did 3 days in Covent Garden or the Piazza. We did it at the Concert Artists Association, two pubs in Putney, one owned by a stuntman, one owned by, I don't know quite what happened in the back room, but it was dodgy. And we did it everywhere. We performed for, we worked with this guy in Putney, and we said, look, we got no money, we can't. He said, I'll tell you what, mate. He said, I'll pay you in. He said, it was stupid. He said, I'll pay you in beer and something to eat. Now, it was a stupid thing to do because at the end of the first night, he said, I wish I was paying you money. He said, because you two are eating and drinking me out. I said, we haven't eaten, mate. We got no money. We're actors. We can eat,
So essentially, it was a terrible decision from both parts because he was losing out because you were drinking a bar drive and you were making no money whatsoever. Just no money whatsoever.
But it taught us one thing at the end of that, because we literally sat down and went, is this been worth doing? We've had an enormous amount of fun for about 3 months. We made our own posters. We used car paint and my mate Rupert was quite a talented artist. We were spraying posters on an old bed sheet in my kitchen in my flat in Chiswick opening the windows because we were gassing each other. We made our own posters.
Health and safety then.
Yeah. We took them out. We literally were making our own work. He was making posters. I was stitching shirts. My dad was hammering crowns. We went out and got arrested for fly postering in, I think I've mentioned this before, in the West End. We made 30 posters.
Yeah.
We made 30 posters. And, we were in Soho. We're slapping them up all over there. No idea. Poster, wallpaper paste. And the police car come round the corner and went, all right, lads, what are you doing then? And was like, oh, shit. So we told him. We literally said, look, this is what we're doing. And he went, all right. He went, right, you got 10 minutes, get your posters up. If I come round that corner and you're still holding that pot, I'll arrest you. And he went, and we literally saw him pass the bottom of one of the streets, and he looked down, and we were going, oh, slapping his thing up, and he just drove on. Lovely copper, let us fly poster.
To note, an understudy knows that they're likely to go on at some point.
And they're prepared.
They have learned the script and learnt the moves, and we've both understudied, and normally you have another role as well, and you're understudy, and then you step up and someone steps into your role, etc., etc. So when you're rehearsing that or learning that, you learn multiple bits. And I don't know how you do it, but when I was understudy, I was playing a role. I was understudying another role that I played previously, but in a different iteration. So I would go to the rehearsals that were for my character, but also to the rehearsals that were for that character, and I would make notes on what that lead actor was doing, on their positions, etc., etc. So you are prepared for that. But we're also talking about elements where you cannot be prepared. It's not really in the same vein, but I did some corporate work once, some role play. Role play is something that quite a lot of actors do. It's an unusual one because it requires you to be an actor, but without it being entertaining. Is that a fair? It's not an entertainment reason behind it.
Yeah, it's you're essentially being a real person in a
real situation.
A real situation for people to learn from. I mean, medical role plays. I played patients, and I've got presumably young doctors. In 2 years' time, they will qualify, and they will be treating this ailment that I'm pretending to have. And so I have to behave like a real person having that ailment. So,
So, and forgive us if we're teaching grandmothers to suck eggs. We know a lot of people would do, but for anyone that wasn't completely sort of au fait with what role play is, you're pretending to be someone in order to help someone else educate themselves or educate others on a subject matter. So I was doing some, it was military role play, and we'd been sent scripts, but not scripts beforehand, but character bios, essentially. So you learn the background of the person that you are going to be representing, their age, their date of birth, where they're from, their schooling, all these sorts of things, as if you are just taking on a completely new persona and having to live that. And an error had occurred where there were 3 or 4 of us, and 2 of us had been sent the same details to learn.
Oh.
And as a result, one of the characters that they needed, one of the people they needed to be there, no one had been given the details of said person. So I don't know why I volunteered to do it, but I
never volunteer.
I did it on the spot. So they were like, right, well, we'll let you have half an hour. You can go on last or however it were. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. But they were like, here's the details. What can you do? And as it turned out, it was all right because I was able to very quickly sort of immerse myself in this person, and I was able to learn enough in that very short space of time to be able to go, right, that's it, fine, go out there. And they wouldn't have known any different.
It has become a very large aspect and sideline of the business, the interactive and dinner theatre. And we've been, you and I have been involved with the dinner theatre side, interactive dinner theatre, for quite some time, and we know how that has ups and downs, and as you mentioned, the unwelcome guest kind of changed where theatre sat and where people's people would how they wanted to receive their entertainment. But I think I'm going to because you mentioned that subject matter is very important, and the shows that we do hark back on and are a homage to great classic TV comedy, British TV comedy, and that whole thing, as you rightly said, that's changed the writing of comedy, and I suppose people's sensitivities towards certain subjects, people have backed off that tradition. I mean, Hello is a whole show about taking the mickey out of the Germans, the English, the war. That whole thing is a wonderful comedic, and I always see it as kind of an anti-war, but also how, even though there was that great, great divide between nations, how comedy knitted people together. We laughed at and with those people, and it's a kind of cathartic. It was a kind of healing thing. A little bit like Dad's Army, around the subject of war. But that kind of warm-hearted comedy, dealing with subjects that nowadays people go, "Oh, you can't say that and do that." That is dying. I think that's it's being written out a little bit, and comedy that's written now, I'm not saying it's any it's not as funny or anything like that, but it doesn't lend itself to a dinner theatre situation.
I wondered, how well does AI know Drewling Samantics?
Oh,
so, I had a chat with AI. And it didn't know it was me, or maybe it did. It's probably an all-sentient being and knows what's going on anyway, and we're probably nearing the end of the world and it's going to take over. But what I did, Drew, was I spoke to AI, or I used a platform, and I asked it to tell me, as a member of the public who had never heard of Drewling Samantics, or never listened to an episode, or never watched an episode on YouTube, I acted as someone who had a friend say to them, "You should check out Drewling Samantics," but gave no further info. And I asked AI to tell me about Drewling Samantics. So, would you like to hear some of what AI told me about Drewling Samantics?
I can't wait.
So it started off quite simplistic and quite obvious. It basically stole some of our info that is out there anyway and adapted it in. So, for example, it says, Drew and Sam are seasoned actors with over 50 years of combined experience in the performing arts. They host Drewling Samantics podcast, which offers an entertaining and insightful look into the industry, covering areas such as modelling, voiceover work, theatre, film, television, and streaming media. Their discussions are often humorous, eye-opening, and occasionally poignant, providing listeners with a unique perspective on the world of performance artistry. Now, that is essentially what we wrote, but
that's our
slightly
statement,
reworded.
Yes.
It says things like, the podcast features regular guest appearances, special on-location segments, and brings fresh and unique content to the podcasting world. Drew and Sam's engaging conversations and industry insights have made Drewling Samantics a distinctive and enjoyable show for listeners interested in the performing arts. Again, quite similar to some of the stuff that we've written or has been written about us already. Yeah. So I asked it to tell me a bit more. And it said some other things. Their podcast covers a broad range of topics, from behind-the-scenes stories to industry tips, as well as discussions about the ever-evolving landscape of media. They explore everything from voiceover work and modelling to the intricacies of acting and the challenges faced by artists in a highly competitive industry. Their tone is conversational and approachable, often blending humour with thought-provoking discussions. Now that is a little bit more insightful. That's actually, and it's obviously based that on, I don't know, it's computers listening to some of our content, which is great. So I then said to it, well, tell me more about Drew and Sam specifically. So, you ready for this? Drew and Sam, the dynamic duo behind Drewling Samantics, both have rich backgrounds in the performing arts. Now, it keeps saying rich and wealthy and very something. It's all about money, weirdly. It's not. I know it's using it in different ways, but it uses those terms quite often very weirdly. Anyway, their combined experience spans decades, giving them a wealth of knowledge and perspective that they bring to the podcast. Then it went into detail about us individually. Drew is a highly experienced performer with a long career in both theatre and voice work. He is known for versatility across different media, including live theatre, film, television, and voiceover. Drew's ability to switch between various roles and genres speaks to his skill and adaptability as an actor. He's especially well versed in the intricacies of voiceover work, sharing tips and stories about the industry that aspiring voice actors can appreciate. His experience in live performance also allows him to provide fascinating insights into the stage and film industries. Drew's wit and humour shine through in his podcasting style, often creating a relaxed yet informative atmosphere. Now, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I find it interesting that it's almost sort of focused you more towards voiceover, because I would have said, that's me. I would have said, from experience, you've obviously done bits in studios, but I would say in recent times, and certainly what we've discussed on the podcast, I focus more on voiceover than you do, whereas you've done a lot of theatre more. But maybe it's taking certain elements. I don't know. So,
Depends where it... Go.
Right, now, Sam also brings a wealth of acting experience to the table. wealth again. Like Drew, Sam has
Word.
performed in multiple media forms, including theatre and film. His experience and passion for storytelling and character work make his perspective on the performing arts especially insightful. His contributions to the podcast often highlight the process of character development, the art of acting, and the challenges of balancing artistic passion with the demands of the entertainment industry. Sam is known for his engaging personality, which complements Drew's energy and creates a dynamic podcasting experience. He also brings a great sense of humour, keeping the conversation light while diving into the deeper aspects of performance. Now, that to me is quite vague, but it does mention about character work. And we've done some episodes talking about when I've had to go into specific character work. So it's certainly used a lot of our content there.
It's interesting that where it gets its information from. For anybody who's joining us new, we started during the period of which we refer to as the unwelcome guest lockdown. And that kept us sane. And we met people who were dealing with that, like everyone. It wasn't just, we're not, weeping and saying, oh, poor artists and actors. But, we were suffering, and it was very difficult because, they closed everywhere. There was nowhere for anyone to work, and least of all, people in the arts. But there was an awful lot of stuff going out. We mentioned all the companies, all the streaming companies, television, film, radio, books. They are all within the arts. And we recognized that, Sam and I, we had a moan. And we will continue to have a moan. I will continue to stand on my little creaky soapbox from time to time. But we started this, and I met someone. I worked with someone in the summer. Neil James, who's a great actor, great fun, and he's just picked up the podcast. He's just started to listen to us.
Yes.
From season 1. I think he's on season 2, 2.5, something like that now. But he said it's interesting. He said, well, 2 seasons and 6 episodes, something like that. But he said it's interesting. He said, because what we've become, he said, of that time, if you go back and listen to that, and all our episodes are of course, archived, he said, it became a little bit of social history and a little bit of, I know, it sounds grand, but yeah, I went back and listened to them, to hear how much better we are now, but also
don't say that, people won't want to go back.
Well, no, but I mean, we're on top of it now. We're a little bit more smooth. But if you go back but it was in the middle of one of if not the most biggest news items and life-changing social events. That sounds, but that pandemic changed lives, ended lives, changed careers, everything. And we started this as a comment on our industry in the middle of that. And Neil said, it is actually a little bit of social history.
Wow.
So he said, you guys have documented a little bit of the industry in that period. So he said, it's really interesting to listen to. So it's like, thank you very much.
Yes, another massive thank you to Neil for pointing out something positive that we'd done without even knowing we'd done it.
I'll tell you something I do know though, Sam.
Go on.
My glass is empty.
Ah, yeah, so is mine, and I am not talking metaphorically. Time for a top-up. Oh, do you know what, Drew? I think 568 millilitres is my favourite measurement of liquid.
You do love a number, don't you, Sam?
Yeah, I do. Funny you should mention that, mate.
So
Memory
back
jogs.
in our first episode of this season, I said that anyone who was brand new and joining us probably could go back and watch or listen to every single episode that we've ever done. So 165 episodes of Drewling Samantics from day dot through to the end of season 11, because we just started season 12. And then I got in my head, as I tend to, and thought, could you actually do that? So I didn't set a challenge because I know no one was going to do it, but set a theoretical challenge that could you have finished watching the first episode of season 12, then gone back and watched or listened to every single one of the 165 previous episodes in time to then be ready for season 12, episode 2, where we had obviously the lovely Jonathan Carlton with us. It was brilliant. So if you haven't watched that one, go back, watch last week's episode. But before we do that, listen to this, because this took me a while, as you can probably imagine. And it's completely pointless, but it made me smile, and I said I was going to do it, and I'm not a man to go back on my word. So yes, so I worked out that if you'd gone away from season 12, episode 1, listen through to that, which is released at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, and it was about, what was our first episode? About 40 minutes long, let's say. If the minute that stopped, you started listening to Drewling Samantics, season 1, episode 1, and you continued watching, and get this, and you had a 3-hour break to sleep every night.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm generous. You would manage to finish season 11, episode 15, about 2 or 3 minutes before season 12, episode 2 started. And that's with 3 hours sleep each night. For those that are interested, and that's, well, probably just me, but just in case there is someone else.
I need the numbers.
Here we go. Some facts and figures coming your way, mate. If you listened to Drewling Samantics non-stop, did not have a break whatsoever, for the first 11 seasons in total, all 165 episodes, it would have taken you 5 days, 2 hours, 36 minutes, and 20 seconds.
Good grief.
Or, if you prefer, that's 122.6 hours. Or, if you prefer, it's 7,536.3 minutes, or 441,380 seconds.
Good grief.
Isn't that amazing? So that is how much crap we have subjected people to.
We've spouted for 5 days. Good Lord.
Yeah, just over 5 days we've been taking the piss, chatting, talking rubbish. But equally, a big chunk of that is listening to much more important and more fascinating people than us, because we've had a lot of guests in that time.
That is true.
So,
that is true.
So yes, so 10, what have we had? 40 plus a couple of, about 60 odd guests now, I think. So you can probably apportion a good day or two of those 5 days to really interesting topics and fascinating people. The rest is just you and me making a lot of noise, getting in the way. But the one thing I will say, and I will stop talking about numbers now because I'm sure I've bored a lot of people to death, is we always set out, when we first started the pod, we said, we did a bit of research and we were like, right, people want to listen for about 40, 45 minutes. Sometimes they'll listen a bit longer, particularly with a guest. So we targeted those episodes at roughly an hour. And the ones with us, we targeted at roughly 30 minutes. And we looked for the averages between and tried to find a happy medium. If you took the entire total of time from the first episode of season 1 to the last episode of season 11, divided it by 165, our average is almost exactly 45 minutes.
No. When we did Fighting Irish, it was about people that existed. I mean, the character I played, Billy Duffin, he existed. He was a boxing trainer. People in the audience that came to see it knew him.
So really? Wow.
Yeah. He was. I mean, the four brothers that the play was ostensibly about came to see the show. Billy had trained them as boxers. They knew him personally. He was his fighting father figure, and they all said, "Oh yeah, there's this about Billy." And and I would ask Jamie, was he like this? Did he, did he? Was he strict? Did he drink? Did he, was he a gambler? I mean, he was, he suffered from kidney problems. Did that make him, and they said, no, he was fit as a fiddle until he dropped dead, he was, what were his politics? All that, those are facts. So I could build the character from facts. There were photographs of him. So I had my hair cut. I combed my hair in a certain way. I didn't look like him, but I could be him. Yeah. And that was true for all of us across the board, particularly when the 4 guys that played the 4 brothers met the 4 guys in the bar after the show. There they were. And there's a photograph of our 4 actors and the other 4 guys. And it's like, amazing. Wow. you know, and it was really emotional because I stand there, and then they all came over and went, "Oh, Billy did this and Billy did that," and so those facts were there, so I could build on that. But you know, with other plays that we've done that. There's nothing, you know. When I did Invisible Me, the character in that, I just, you know.
So he didn't exist, did he? He wasn't
didn't exist.
A real person.
It was like a play, you know. You've got to create this character. And what's the wonderful thing is, it had been done previously, but it had been a Zoom during Young Welcome Guest. It hadn't really gone anywhere. There was no way to explore it. This was a proper, you know. We had a rehearsal period. Bren he knew then what didn't work. It was almost as if it had a couple of rehearsed readings, but we really created the characters from nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch the previous iteration, but it was really free because, you know, we'd say to him, what do you, this scene, I'm sitting alone in this cafe. How did you see it? Do you want him sad or whatever? He said, and he'd go, I don't know. So I go, okay, I'm going to play him happy. It's my birthday. I'm happy about my birthday. I'm on my own. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to have a big breakfast, go and drive my cab, and then I'm going to go home. Character's a cab driver. And then something else happens on his birthday. And then we were into territory like, well, you don't really know now how I'm going to. He went, oh, I've never seen it like that. I never saw him doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that works. So there is that freedom. If you're doing, it's like, you know, if you do a Shakespeare play or you do, you know, you Oscar Wilde, all those plays, the characters are so well known. There is, you know, there's very little way you're going to go with them.
There are expectations to live up to, aren't there?
But also the information within the play is tried and tested. You don't need to rewrite a play if it's you know, yes, people make cuts and do things. It isn't necessary to get the play right. It's done. It's been done for years and years and years. It's just another production, well, not just that, but this is a production. Doesn't need to go anywhere new. Different costumes, different director, making one character more important in this production than they had been previously. But the thing about new writing is, you know, in a new play, you can go anywhere with it, you know, and do anything. And that's a joy of doing it.
Oh, good God. What? Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologise if you're currently watching on YouTube rather than listening to the podcast. Unfortunately, it would appear that some weird homeless bloke has stolen Drew's polo shirt. Mate, good morning.
Of course, a reference to the ongoing beard situation. Thanks for that, mate.
Yeah, well, you said that quite confidently. If it hadn't been a reference to your beard, that would have been quite the insult.
Wouldn't it just? Yeah.
But no, it's certainly coming on, mate. I mean,
isn't it?
I'm really not used to. I know it sounds strange, but because I'm so used to you being clean shaven or just having a moustache, seeing the full beard is quite an eye opener.
It's touch of a shock, isn't it? Yeah. I know.
It does suit you, though. I mean, it just. I'm looking forward to it being really big and bushy.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets bushy, then I really will be asking for a pie from Greg's. You know, Not that every homeless person eats at Greg's or everybody that eats at Greg's is a homeless, but I've just apologised enough there.
Yeah. And I was going to say other fairly cheap bakery options are available. Yeah. Equally, other things are available from Greg's. If Greg's don't sponsor us now, although actually you did start off by saying that homeless people eat in Greg's, so maybe.
But maybe, yeah.
And equally, not that we've got anything against homeless people. In fact, I feel very sorry for them. And
certainly not. Certainly not. No.
Anyway, enough of us trying to get cancelled before we've even started.
And if anyone was going to set up a new theatre company and do 3 shows in Rep down in Lyme Regis at the lovely Marine Theatre, if anyone was going to do it and do it well, it was Sue. And she very kindly asked me to be in the first show, Gaslight, which is a wonderful Victorian thriller, and where we get the phrase gaslighting from.
Yeah,
it's a very tense psychological thriller. And I played I played now both male roles in the show. It's interesting. Years ago, I played Mr. Manningham, who is ostensibly the villain of the piece, and this summer I played Sergeant Ruff, who comes in and you don't quite know what he's up to at first, but then as it pans out, he rescues and solves the crime. Manningham is arrested. Spoiler alert. And
a bit
the
late
lady
for
of the
that now,
house.
mate. You're supposed to say spoiler alert before you give the.
Well, they know it's coming. They know it's coming. Well, as soon as you sit down and watch Gaslight, you go, okay, when is he going to get nabbed? How are they going to prove it? We know it. And it's a great whodunit because you sit there going, well, we know what's going on, but how the hell is this woman going to is she going to be helped? But the wonderful thing was and then that was followed by Taking Steps and then Dial M for Murder in traditional weekly rep style. So we played for a week. Whilst we were playing in the evenings, the next show was being rehearsed, and then that was playing the following week. The next show was blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It was the theatre hadn't had anything like a rep season there for many, many, many years. So we were garnering new audiences, and our audiences tripled, quadrupled through that first week and continued through the rest of the season. It was, as you say, it was a beautiful hot summer. Lyme Regis is gorgeous. It was rammed with people. And the lovely thing about the Marine Theatre is you literally, our dressing room is on, you 40 yards, there's the sea. So you have, in one ear, you have the play playing on stage, you'll sit in the dressing room. In the other ear, you can hear the tide coming in and people swimming and enjoying themselves. It's a lovely setting. But like yourself, Sam, there I was, in a 3-piece suit, wing collar shirt, bow tie, hat, scarf, coat for the first 5-10 minutes of the scene. And it's 29-30 degrees outside. So it was, I'd experienced my own little bit of joy there. There was one moment in the play that I really looked forward to because I get to take jacket off and everything, roll my sleeves up. It was like, I can't wait for this, But it was lovely. It was great to be at the beginning of a new theatre company in a new venue with a new season. I'm still on the old coffee, mate. So here's to you.
Cheers to you. Hello, everyone else joining us. This isn't just me and Drew having a random chat.
It is us having a random chat, really, isn't it? Before we get down to any nitty gritty. So and it's lovely to see you. It's been a week. Lots have happened. What has been happening to yourself? How are you, Mr. Dunning?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate.
Good.
What did I do this week? Bit of modelling. No, I know you don't know. I was asking myself so I could then tell you what. You're on it this morning, aren't you? You really?
I'm a little bit. It's not my first coffee. Let me put it that way.
Hello, mate. Happy New Year.
Hello. Happy New Year. How was your Christmas? How did it all go? A wonderful time.
Madness, but brilliant. So everyone knows, I think everyone knows that I was at Blenheim Palace playing Captain Hook in their Neverland experience. It was mind blowing, mate.
Brilliant.
The production values and the effort and the just everything about it. There should be some videos and stuff on Blenheim Palace's social media. Go and check it out if you haven't already. I was on the Jolly Roger, the pirate ship, which they'd built inside their library, inside the palace, and it was a full size pirate ship, just unbelievable. And can I just say that Rusticus, who employed me, the theatrical company, and Culture Creative, who built it all and made it all, and Blenheim Palace themselves, and just everyone involved was amazing. I had such a fabulous Christmas. Best part of 250,000 people came through the door and saw us. So it was just phenomenal, and you only have to look at the reviews and the pictures and everything on social media to see how much everyone enjoyed it. Brilliant. How was the grotto?
The grotto was amazing, mate. Okay, we had a full on 23 days. So it was lovely. We can't boast the same numbers, but we had 16,500 people through. So still a busy Christmas grotto for us as well. 1,000 people a day. So it was lovely. It was full on, great fun. I dropped out of my chimney as Santa 401 times. There we are. That's how many times I dropped down the chimney.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that why you're so short? Because every time you land, you shrink a bit.
Just compacted me, mate. Yeah.
There wasn't much of you left to shrink in the first
place. Indeed. Yes. I mean, if you see me now in the screen, I'm actually standing up on the sofa,
Your legs have gone like, so you're just middle now.
I'm just, there's nothing.
Like do you remember when you were younger? And they were like the footballers. You could collect the little football figurines. They had a massive head,
yes.
but like a small body. That's basically you now.
That's me now. Yeah. I think what two things actually about past comedy. It was the way we watched as a nation, as a group of people. 15 million people would sit down and watch Fawlty Towers, and then you would discuss it the next day.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you don't have to do that. You don't have to wait until Sunday night, Friday night, Wednesday, or whenever the shows were on. You can stream it. You can watch the whole series in an evening. There isn't that sort of collective thing of sitting down on a Saturday night and watching your favourite, watching an episode of Only Fools and Horses. Did you see it? Did you? Nowadays, you probably have seen it because you can stream it.
And I think binge watching is a thing now, isn't it? People will find...
You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait.
We talked about it before. The only things really that still hold that regularity that you must wait for the next one are the competitions, the bake-offs, the Strictly. I'm a Celeb, all those sort of things where there is voting or there is some sort of jeopardy, and I don't mean in a negative.
There's a storyline as well, isn't there? There's a storyline from if you think of I'm a Celebrity, you're watching a bit of drama in front of your face. That there's a storyline. On Tuesday, so and so was pissed off with so and so because they hogged the shower and didn't win the food or whatever. And then is that argument going to develop during the week or whatever? So that there's instant drama.
I happened to be on first on one of these days and got there nice and early because it took a while to get into makeup and costume and get things set and get ready to go. And I parked up in the car park and it was dead. It was really empty, and I thought, that's very odd. So I parked in the car park. Now the car park genuinely was a good 10-15 minute walk from the front of the palace.
I've been to Blenheim and I
it's
do know
enormous.
That. Yes,
it's incredible, but it's enormous. And where we were parking in the staff car park, so did my little walk in, go. There's not really many people around. Oh look, there's the ducks. There's lots of ducks and geese at the front of Blenheim Palace. Very lovely. It's a bit windy, a bit wet. That's what it is. Walked through the big gates, which were almost shut. The front gate, I was like, that's very odd. Maybe I'm a bit earlier today. Walked through those. Okay, it's very quiet out here. Look, there's the merry-go-round. All the bits on the merry-go-round are still covered. How very strange.
Merry-go-round isn't going round.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be working at that time in the morning because no one's in until 10 o'clock at night. This was probably 8:15 or something.
Right.
But so, I tried it. It's very odd. It's very quiet around here. And got my key card out and went to the staff entrance bit that we were using. Went. It's very quiet. The TV's not on down here. It's normally on because we went through. I won't bore you completely, but there's a Churchill exhibit there because Churchill was born there and got married there. So there's a whole Churchill exhibit because was it his great grandmother or something was married to the Duke of Marlborough. So I can't remember.
My history's not that good. Yeah.
But I was like, okay, the screen's not on for... Maybe no one's in yet. Maybe I'm a bit earlier. Up the steps, back entrance for the staff bit, scan in. And as I walk in, we went past the main room that we're in, because we take a shortcut, obviously, rather than going around the whole trail. And I looked in, and the pirate ship wasn't lit up. Like, there's normally loads of candles and whatever, and then there's a big projection going on. Oh, I'm really early. So I took a couple of pictures with myself, with nothing switched on, going, oh, look, I've opened it. Very funny. Went to go back into our green room, and one of the stewards walked past, and I went, oh, it's really odd with it all switched off in there, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? He's like, well, anyway, have a good day off. And off he trotted. And I went, that's a weird thing to say. And off I went into the green room and started getting changed. It's only because on a whim, I flicked on my phone to look for something and happened to be following Blenheim Palace on Instagram to see that there was a story on Instagram saying, sorry, but today Neverland in the Palace and the Light Garden and blah, blah, blah are all shut.
Gulp.
Gulp, indeed, mate. But to be honest, without interesting, unusual, surprising, and in this case, ridiculous stories, where would Drewling Samantics be?
Certainly not in season 12, mate.
No.
Actually, we are not in season 12 anymore, are we?
Well, technically, Drew, we're in season 12 until the end of this episode, but I know what you mean. We are very nearly at season 13.
So, please, as we crash towards the end of season 12, prepare to join us in a few weeks' time for season 13. We'd love to see you all.
We'll see you then. Cheers.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this special highlights episode of Drewling Samantics.
If you have, then make sure you go and watch all our previous episodes in full for even more fun and interesting content. Please consider subscribing to our channel too, and you'll get notified every time a new video is released.
Don't forget we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And we'd love your support on social media as well. We're on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and all our links and handles are on the screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so please share with your family and friends, and we'll be eternally grateful. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.